The new Vanguard hero Devil Dinosaur is finally playable in Marvel Rivals Season 8, and he is the developer's answer to the solo tank problem, and he handles that problem in many different ways. Not only does he have insane damage output, he also has a limited form of self-healing, he's immune to critical hits, and so much more. This gigantic lumbering Chungus dinosaur is going to define the Marvel Rivals meta going forward. No other hero in the Vanguard class plays quite like him, so today we're going to go through his kit, and I'm going to show you the best Devil Dinosaur combos that I've found, because while he is pretty simple on the surface, you do want to be applying the effects within his kit, you do want to be utilizing his tools in the correct situations, especially since he has very long cooldowns. There are some flaws to this character that can be exploited by certain heroes, and though he wins the 1v1 in most situations, characters like Punisher, ironically, though they're in his team up, they are also one of his best counters. We'll discuss all that and more as I show you the rest of his kit, but before we do that, I want to call attention to one of his passives, and that's the prehistoric plating, because this is going to reduce damage from critical hits, but not only that, it makes you immune to being moved. That means characters like the Hulk, other displacement characters, they cannot counter your onslaughts. On top of that, this is something that keeps him balanced. Enemies and allies generate less ultimate ability when damaging or healing Devil Dinosaur, because this hero can overcharge to 1200, 1300 HP, and you'll have healers and DPS just dumping massive amounts of numbers into this guy. And this is what I mean when I say he's not like any other Vanguard. The amount of ult generation he could have provided without this passive would have been insane, but this keeps him in line, and this also means you can't ult farm off of him if you play support. I will say though immediately, Devil Dinosaur is the perfect candidate for the Ultron strat. This is a character that would benefit from having an Ultron drone, a Mantis power boost, anything you could really put onto him, and because he's so dang tanky, he's going to be the hero that really justifies trying to do triple support. Something about triple support is it's very dominant at the higher levels of play, but it completely falls off at the lower levels of play. So triple support actually has a negative win rate. It's about 47% of the time, but when you do it in pro lobbies, it wins most of the time, which is where a lot of the nerfs in recent seasons have come from, especially the ult nerfs. Anyway, getting into Devil Dinosaur's kit, the most important thing you want to do with Devil's Dinosaur is apply the bleed, and his primary attack does apply that bleed. With one bite, you're going to do about 40% of the health of a basic 250 character. With the second bite, you almost take him down to the very bottom. That third bite is what puts him on. Devil Dinosaur, insane amount of damage. The fact that he's a tank that can, with his basic combos, 1, 2, 3, guaranteed kill a 250 is pretty significant. But the bleeding effect also improves his secondary combo, which is this little chomp, boom, like a 5-hit combo. And if you can hit one of your primaries into the secondary cooldown, you pretty much guarantee the elim on even a 275, because your residual bleed is going to keep going. If you don't hit the bleed, you see it actually does less than a single strike of your primary. Let's check for comparison. Yep, see, your primary does more than, for me, I'm on controller, my right bumper cooldown, it does more than that cooldown does if you don't have bleed effect. One bite with bleed plus combo, instant down. Major difference of damage. That's where applying the bleed effect is really your whole loop, just making sure that everyone is bleeding as often as possible. And this is where I'm going to take some damage and actually direct your eyes down to Devil Dinosaur's HP, because his secondary passive, Apex Advantage, gives him self-healing when he does damage. Granted, it is bonus healing. It is not going back into his regular health pool. This is just like overcharged. Boom, boom, boom. So with that combo, we got 135 HP back off of one cooldown, but it immediately goes away. This is where, again, combining the bleed with your combo and overcharging your health, this is where you can see him become very devastating. See, 829. We almost got double the HP back just by virtue of applying the bleed effect first. And while Devil Dinosaur is a big lumbering beast, pretty slow for his size, you can leap in with his left bumper cooldown and apply the bleed effect as well. So you can start developing cycles of leaping in, doing your 5-hit combo, chomping away, just as long as you're making sure the bleed effect is on them before you hit this 5-hit going into this right here. Boom. Very devastating. And he just leaps into the backline and mauls the healers. This is where healers that don't have high mobility are really, really going to suffer this season. Now, if you end up in a bad situation, you're a little exposed, he has this, in my opinion, very broken shield on him. And what makes this broken is it lasts for about 7 to 8 seconds. It's actually pretty long for what it does. It can even block ultimates, by the way. It goes on to like a 9-second cooldown, but in my experience, you're usually getting healed again by that point. Like if I'm too overexposed and somehow they get my health down, I pop this and I back up. And I have more than enough time to get back to my healers and have them suit me back up. I leap back in, do more of these devastating combos, apply my bleeds, and then as soon as it all goes bad, hit the shield and back up. That's your loop, really. He's a simple character, and it really comes down to cooldown management, making sure the bleed is constantly up, and not pushing too far forward, which it seems impossible with Devil Dinosaur, but you can push too far forward. I think a very smart technique that shield tanks can use is to block his healers from healing him with their shields. It's something I've been doing with Doctor Strange lately, kind of to cut the thick of those mid-ground battles, to cut the neutral game. Rather than blocking damage from the front, go behind the Devil Dinosaur, address his strategists, and that's going to cut his sustain very dramatically. He's still going to be a beast, but he will be a beast without fuel, which is a lot more manageable. Now, his final cooldown is the laser beam, and come on, this is just the gravy here. This is one of the coolest powers in the game. He turns into Godzilla, applies the bleed with that, by the way. And before I forget, if you do the leap while someone is bleeding, you'll actually grab them and toss them. And we saw this in the trailer. This is going to be pretty good for map kills, though I think it's going to be the part of his kit you'll utilize the least. You don't really want to be stationary with Devil Dinosaur. The real advantage you have, being such a thick boy, is your movement. The more you can make the enemies miss, the better it is for you. So actually do try to be jumping around and doing stuff like this while you're hitting them. It's going to make you a tiny bit more survivable, not by much. I think end of the day, Devil Dinosaur is going to come down to a lot of team play. He can allow a pop-off, he can do some very silly stuff, but he needs the team behind him. Now back to his laser. This does ground enemies, by the way. It applies bleeding, but not only that, it also slows the enemy. This is a 3-effect attack. And this, it kind of stinks because I was really liking Ultron, really liking Storm. I'm a big Angela fan, and this is really a direct counter to those heroes. This throws their game plan out the window entirely. So in many ways, we are deep in the thick of a brawl dive meta, because Devil Dinosaur definitely has the ability to dive. He could pair with the Hulk, could pair very well with the Thing. Like I said at the beginning, anything that boosts his stats is just going to make him more devastating. So the rock buff from a Thing, a shield from a Magneto, an Ultron drone, a power boost. You want to throw all of these things onto Devil Dinosaur because he's going to do the heavy lifting of the squad. Now his ultimate, surprisingly, pretty balanced, and it's very similar to White Fox's ultimate in that the skill gap is actually getting the hits. It tapers off in effectiveness if you're not actively pursuing people. It's an ult that actually requires gameplay, which I appreciate about it. So you're gonna charge your movement speed, and when you stomp, you're gonna do damage, and this damage applies slowing and bleed. It also launches them up a bit, not enough to really matter. But you see all that. With a full charge of the ult, we eliminated these 250 enemies, got ourselves a lot of overcharge, but I'm gonna do it again actively, combined with his other attacks, just so you can see how high his health can get. Here we go. Boom. Boom, leap in. And with this, I want to get them as soon as they come out. They're just literally not staying alive long enough. But these are the situations where you can get yourself to 1200 HP, 1300 HP. I haven't touched 1400 yet, but maybe. I want you guys to comment down below, what's the highest HP you've gotten with Devil Dinosaur's ultimate rampage? Because that's the moment, if you're playing him correctly, that you can just completely steamroll the enemy team. One last thing to address with Devil Dinosaur is his team up with the Punisher. And this is super silly and fun, but it also makes Punisher, who in my opinion is one of the best DPS, into one of the top tier DPS of the game. Because when he's riding on Devil Dinosaur, he gets damage reduction, similar to how Jeff the Land Shark or Rocket Raccoon get it with Groot. And he also gets a bit of the healing as well. And just for the fact that Devil Dinosaur likes to jump into the middle, Shotgun Punisher on his back is going to increase his power level so much. Just having a shotgun turret, yeah, the adjudicator is good. Yeah, you can laser like this. You can even fire your smoke bomb and you won't go off the back. But shotgun pun on the back of a Devil Dinosaur, this thing, this devastating weapon of mass destruction is going to plow through enemy backlines. Ultimate, completely unnecessary. But I mean, of course, the whole time, you're charging Punisher's ultimate as well. While doing this damage, while taking some of his healing, I cannot attest, though, if the healing that you get through Devil Dinosaur reduces his ult charge. I'm not sure on the map there. The fact that Devil Dinosaur reduces ult charge at all introduces a weird aspect of math that's never it's never existed in this game. Now, when it comes to heroes that are good at countering Devil Dinosaur, I already mentioned Punisher. The fact is that Punisher just pours out damage from a safe distance, and then his ultimate can completely chew through enemies no matter how high their HP is. So he's always the counter to the wall. That's just what he does. Blade is also very good at countering because while attacking, he's absorbing life. And that means he's going to offset the bleed effect at the same time. It's pretty much leech life versus bleed effect, and the edge is in Blade's favor. And of course, you always have your classic ranged options. Even Namor as a trapper, he'll be doing residual damage, which can help to offset the self-healing of Devil Dinosaur. The fact that Phoenix, she's just always a mainstay, and that explosion every third hit makes a huge difference. Elsa, it's the fact that her shotgun does damage based on the amount of HP that an enemy has. So she'll always, in that essence, with one attack, be a counter to the wall as well. When it comes to the strategists, I recommend playing the ones that have high movement or ability to go invisible. Sue Storm, still very powerful right now. Jeff the Land Shark, he can get away. Even Loki with his trickery. I will say, now that I'm looking at the spread of supports, there is a lot more movement abilities. Even Adam Warlock has a way to run away from Devil Dinosaur now, but just don't try to fight him. The last thing you want to do is try to fight Devil Dinosaur as a strategist. That is a fight you simply cannot win. Now, picking a good tank against him is a lot harder. This is where I think Penny Parker really rises to the surface, and I'm actually going to show you. Because of all the heroes with their stun abilities, their debuffs, their lock-ins, her web shot is one of the few things that can actually counter a Devil Dinosaur. Make him stop his pursuits. If he's trying to leap in on you and you hit this thing, it's a nice little GG right there. Of course, because he wants to brawl against you, you want to have him brawl against you. And if he can go ahead and do that, take a bunch of chip damage, get stunned in the middle of your mines. Penny Parker has quickly become one of my favorite tanks in the game. I know she was always pretty niche, but as I've played with her more and more, even just outside of basic defense, I really appreciate the amount of utility she has. And her ability to counter those dives, as the game has trended more towards the dive meta, has just become more and more valuable to me. Do not pick Angela. Rogue has supremely fallen off. Her combos are pretty weak nowadays. Unless she's paired with a Gambit, I think that puts her over the edge. Thor, I have not put enough time into, but I theorize he's also a very good counter to Devil Dinosaur because he has a lot of self-healing. A lot of self-healing. A lot of mobility as well, and he punishes Devil Dinosaur for trying to pursue him out of these right here. So there's a lot to love about Thor in this matchup against Devil Dinosaur, I think. I don't know, tell me in the comments if you're a Thor main, or if you main any of these other tanks, any other hero. How do you like the matchup against Devil Dinosaur? How do you like Devil Dinosaur? Are you going to be playing this hero, or are you going to be cowering in fear on top of the building on a Rocket Raccoon? Be sure to like and subscribe for more Marvel Rivals videos, because I'll be putting up my best Devil Dinosaur gameplays very soon.